Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. If you're into coin collecting or just love discovering hidden treasures, you're in for a treat today. In this video, we're going to be talking about a coin that might look pretty ordinary at first glance, the 1970 Lincoln penny. But don't be fooled, this seemingly average penny could actually be worth up to $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny worth $1.5 million. Stick around as we dive into the history of the 1970 Lincoln penny, what makes it so valuable, and how you can identify one of these rare pennies that could be worth a fortune. Let's get started. Before we get into the specifics of the 1970 penny, let's take a moment to talk about the history of the Lincoln penny itself. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent became one of the most iconic coins in American history. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured a portrait of Lincoln on the obverse side and a wheat stalk design on the reverse. The wheat design was used until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design, which was used until 2008 when the current shield design was introduced. The Lincoln penny has undergone several design changes over the years, but the image of Lincoln has remained central, making it a coin that has stood the test of time. By the 1970s, the penny was still made primarily of copper, but things were about to change, and that's where the 1970 Lincoln penny comes into play. Now, let's talk about the 1970 Lincoln penny and why this coin is worth so much money. Most of the 1970 pennies that you find in your pocket change are just worth 1 cent. However, there is a rare variety of the 1970 penny that could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars. The key to the value of this coin lies in a minting error that made a very small number of these pennies incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. The coin we're focusing on is the 1970 small date Lincoln penny. So, what makes this coin so special? It all comes down to the way the date was struck on the coin. The 1970 small date penny is one of the most sought-after varieties of the 1970 Lincoln penny. To understand what makes it so valuable, we first need to explain the difference between the 1970 small date and the 1970 large date. During the 1970 minting process, the U.S. Mint used two different styles of dies to strike the 1970 penny. One style produced a small date while the other produced a large date. The small date coins have a noticeably smaller date, with the numbers being more compact compared to the large date coins. The large date coins, on the other hand, have numbers that are larger and more spaced out. While both the 1970 small date and large date pennies were produced in similar quantities, the small date variety is much rarer. What makes this variety so important is that only a small number of small date pennies were struck with the D Mint mark at the Denver Mint, which is what gives this coin its distinct value. The 1970 small date penny became particularly valuable because the U.S. Mint didn't expect the small date variety to be so rare. Over time, the 1970 small date penny was largely overlooked by collectors, making it a hidden gem that has only gained recognition in recent years. This rare variety is in high demand, and if you happen to find one in pristine condition, you could be looking at a coin worth a small fortune. Now, you're probably wondering why the 1970 small date penny can be worth so much money. The rarity of this coin is the main factor behind its high value. It was produced during a time when the U.S. Mint was producing millions of pennies, and most of them were the large date variety. However, only a limited number of 1970 small date pennies were struck, making them much harder to find today. In addition to the rarity, the condition of the coin also plays a huge role in determining its value. Coins that are in excellent, mint condition without scratches, tarnish, or significant wear are always worth more than coins that have been heavily circulated. For a 1970 small date penny, the value can increase exponentially if the coin is in near perfect condition, especially if it has been graded highly by a professional coin grading service. A well-preserved 1970D small date penny can sell for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. But when you're talking about a perfect example of this rare penny graded in top condition by professional grading services, the value can easily reach upwards of $1.5 million. That's why coin collectors and investors are constantly on the lookout for this elusive coin. So, how do you know if you've got a 1970D small date penny on your hands? Let's break down the key steps to identifying this rare and valuable coin. 1. Look at the date. The most important thing to check is the date. Compare the 1970 date to other pennies from that year. The small date will have smaller, more compact numbers, while the large date will have larger, more spaced out numbers. The difference can be subtle, so you'll need to examine it closely. 2. Check the mint mark. Make sure the penny has the D mint mark, which indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint. The 1970D small date penny is what you're looking for. If the coin doesn't have a mint mark, it's not the 1970D variety. 3. Examine the condition. The condition of the coin is incredibly important. Look for signs of wear or scratches. Coins that have been heavily circulated are worth significantly less than coins in pristine condition. The more well-preserved the coin is, the higher its value. A coin in mint state can easily be worth tens of thousands or even millions of dollars. So, what's the value of a 1970D Lincoln penny? For most 1970D pennies, the value is just 1 cent, like any other penny. However, the 1970D small date penny can be worth a lot more. If you find a 1970D small date penny in good condition, it could easily be worth several $1,000s. Coins in excellent condition can command even higher prices, especially if they're graded highly by professional grading companies. The true jackpot comes when you find a perfect specimen of the 1970D small date penny. Depending on its condition, these rare coins can fetch anywhere from $50,000 to $1.5 million. That's the kind of value you're looking at for a coin that most people would overlook as just another penny. In conclusion, the 1970D Lincoln penny might seem like just another coin from the 1970s, but it's actually one of the most valuable pennies you can find. The 1970D small date variety is incredibly rare, and if you happen to find one in excellent condition, it could be worth up to $1.5 million. Make sure to check your change carefully, because you might be holding onto a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more coin collecting tips, valuable finds, and stories about rare coins. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting. See you in the next video. Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. If you're into coin collecting or just love discovering hidden treasures, you're in for a treat today. In this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into the 1965 Lincoln penny. Yes, the 1-cent coin that most people would pass by without a second thought, could actually be worth up to $1.7 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? But it's true. We'll explore its fascinating history, the rare varieties that make it so valuable, and why some of these pennies are worth a fortune. Stick around, because you're not going to want to miss this. Before we jump into the specifics of the 1965 Lincoln penny, let's take a moment to look at the history of the coin itself. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by artist Victor David Brenner, the coin featured a portrait of Lincoln on the obverse side and wheat stalk on the reverse, which was used until 1958. Over the years, the design of the reverse side has changed, but the image of Lincoln has remained one of the most iconic and enduring symbols on U.S. currency. By the time the 1960s rolled around, the penny was still made primarily of copper. However, things were about to change in 1965 due to rising copper prices, and that's where our story about the 1965 Lincoln penny begins. The year 1965 was a significant one for U.S. coinage, as it marked a major change in the composition of the nation's coins. Due to the rising cost of copper and other metals, the U.S. Mint decided to stop using large amounts of copper in the production of coins. While the 1965 penny still looked similar to its predecessors, it was now made primarily of a copper-nickel alloy instead of pure copper. The 1965 penny was still very much a part of the classic Lincoln cent series, but behind the scenes, there were some issues with production that would lead to rare and valuable coins being minted. Now, let's fast forward to the more exciting part of what makes the 1965 Lincoln penny so valuable, and why are some of these coins worth up to $1.7 million. One of the most valuable and rare varieties of the 1965 Lincoln penny is the double-die penny, also known as the double-die obverse, DDO. But what exactly does that mean? A double die occurs when the coin is struck more than once during the minting process. This results in certain parts of the design being doubled or offset, and the effect can be seen in the lettering, the date, and even Lincoln's image. In the case of the 1965 DDO penny, the doubling often shows up on the word Liberty and the date itself. This minting error makes the coin much more valuable than your typical penny. The 1965 double-die obverse penny is extremely rare. The mistake was likely caused by an issue during the minting process, where the dies used to strike the coins weren't properly aligned. The result was a doubled image on the coin. These kinds of errors are highly sought after by collectors, and the rarer they are, the higher their value. A well-preserved 1965 DDO penny can sell for thousands of dollars. However, if you're lucky enough to find a perfect specimen in excellent condition, you could be looking at a coin worth upwards of $1.7 million. That's right, a $1.7 million for a single penny. The rarity of the error and the desirability of the coin in the collector market make it one of the most valuable pennies in existence. Another reason the 1965 penny is so valuable has to do with the presence, or absence, of a mint mark. Typically, pennies minted in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark, while those from the Denver Mint are marked with a D. However, during the 1965 production, some coins were mistakenly struck in Philadelphia without the P mint mark. This no mint mark variety is considered rare, and it makes the 1965 penny even more valuable than others. While the no mint mark variety doesn't fetch the same astronomical prices as the DDO variety, it is still highly sought after by collectors. A well-preserved 1965 no mint mark penny can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on its condition. However, the most valuable ones can be worth even more if they are in mint state or exhibit particular characteristics. So, how can you tell if you've got a rare and valuable 1965 Lincoln penny in your hands? The key to identifying a valuable penny is to carefully examine the coin for the features we've discussed. Here's what to look for. 1. Double-die obverse, DDO. This is the big one. For the 1965 double-die penny, the most obvious signs of doubling will be on the word Liberty and the date. If you notice that these features are doubled or blurry, you might be holding a rare DDO penny. A magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe will help you see the details more clearly. 2. No mint mark. A 1965 penny minted in Philadelphia should have no mint mark. If you have a 1965 penny without a D or S mint mark, it's worth examining closely. While this no mint mark variety isn't as rare as the DDO penny, it's still a valuable find, especially if it's in great condition. 3. Condition. As with any collectible coin, condition is crucial. A coin in mint state, with little or no wear, will always be worth more than a coin that has been heavily circulated. Look for coins that have sharp details, no scratches, and minimal signs of wear. Now, you're probably wondering just how much a 1965 Lincoln penny is worth. Most of these pennies are worth just 1 cent, like any other penny. However, the rare varieties of the double-die obverse and the no mint mark penny can be worth significantly more. A typical 1965 DDO penny in good condition can be worth anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s. However, if the coin is in pristine, near-perfect condition, it could fetch a staggering $1.7 million at auction. That's the kind of value these rare coins can command in the right market. The 1965 no mint mark penny can also be worth several $100s to a few thousand, depending on its condition. While it's not as valuable as the DDO variety, it's still a rare and desirable coin among collectors. To wrap things up, the 1965 Lincoln penny may look like just another 1-cent coin, but it's actually home to some very rare and valuable varieties. The 1965 double-die obverse penny, in particular, is one of the most coveted coins among collectors and can be worth up to $1.7 million in exceptional condition. Meanwhile, the 1965 no-mint mark penny is another rare find that can also fetch a substantial amount. If you come across a 1965 penny, make sure to inspect it closely, as you could be holding a coin worth far more than just 1 cent. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more coin collecting tips and valuable insights into rare finds. Until next time, keep an eye out for those rare treasures, and happy collecting. See you in the next video. Welcome back to the channel. Rarest Coins. If you're a coin collector or just someone who loves learning about rare finds, then you're in for a treat today. In this video, we're going to be talking about the 1972 Lincoln penny, a coin that you probably see all the time. But did you know some of these pennies are worth up to $1.4 million? It might sound hard to believe, but it's true. Stick around as we dive into the fascinating history of the Lincoln penny, what makes the 1972 version so valuable, and why some of these coins could be worth a fortune. Let's get started. Let's first take a quick look at the history of the Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent, as it's officially known, was introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured a portrait of President Lincoln on the obverse side and a wheat stalk design on the reverse. The wheat design was used until 1958, after which it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial, which lasted until 2008 when the shield design was introduced. The Lincoln penny has remained one of the most iconic coins in American history. It's been through various changes over the years, but the image of Lincoln, as well as the symbolism of the penny, has stayed intact. By the time we reached the 1970s, the penny was being minted primarily out of copper, a metal that had been used since the coin's inception. However, what sets the 1972 Lincoln penny apart? Well, that's where things get interesting. Now, let's talk about the 1972 Lincoln penny and why some of these coins are worth so much money. As with many rare coins, it all comes down to minting errors and unique varieties. Most 1972 pennies are worth just 1 cent, but there are a few specific varieties that have been known to fetch tens of thousands of dollars or even more. One of the most notable varieties of the 1972 Lincoln penny is the double-die obverse, DDO. This is where the real value lies, so let's take a closer look at it. The 1972 double-die obverse penny is one of the most sought-after varieties among collectors. So, what exactly is a double die? A double die occurs during the minting process when the coin is struck more than once. This can cause certain details on the coin, like the date or the lettering, to appear doubled or shifted. In the case of the 1972 Lincoln penny, this doubling most commonly shows up on the word Liberty, the date 1972, and the phrase "In God We Trust." This type of error happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, or it strikes the coin multiple times, creating a doubled image. The 1972 DDO penny is especially valuable because this type of error is quite rare, and finding one in excellent condition can be a huge payday for coin collectors. So, why does the 1972 double-die obverse penny fetch such high prices? The answer lies in its rarity and the fact that it's a highly sought-after coin for both new collectors and seasoned numismatists alike. A well-preserved 1972 DDO penny can sell for thousands of dollars at auction, and in certain cases, the most flawless examples can be worth up to $1.4 million. That's the kind of money we're talking about when it comes to this rare penny. While the 1972 double-die obverse penny is the most famous and valuable variety, there are other rare varieties of the 1972 Lincoln penny that collectors search for as well. For example, the 1972 penny was struck in both Philadelphia and Denver, and certain examples from these mints can be worth more than face value depending on their condition and rarity. Another important variety to keep an eye out for is the 1972 no mint mark penny. Pennies from Philadelphia typically have no mint mark, while those from the Denver Mint are marked with a D. However, in some cases, errors can occur where a coin from the Philadelphia Mint is mistakenly struck without a mint mark. While these no mint mark coins aren't as valuable as the 1972 double die obverse penny, they are still rare and highly desirable among collectors. Now, you're probably wondering how you can tell if you have a valuable 1972 Lincoln penny. The key to spotting a valuable coin lies in carefully inspecting the details of the penny. Here's what to look for. 1. Double die obverse, DDO. The most valuable variety of the 1972 penny is the double die obverse. To spot this error, carefully examine the word Liberty, the date 1972, and the inscription "In God We Trust." If you see any doubling or blurring in these areas, you may have a 1972 DDO penny. This error can be subtle, so be sure to inspect the coin under magnification to get a clearer view of the doubling. 2. No mint mark. Check the obverse side of the coin for the mint mark. If you see no mint mark at all, it could be a rare Philadelphia strike, and depending on the condition, it could be worth more than just 1 cent. 3. Condition. Like any other collectible coin, the condition of the penny is extremely important. The more worn down the coin is, the less it will be worth. Coins that have been kept in great condition without scratches, dents, or heavy circulation are always worth more. Coins that grade in the mint state range are the ones that command top prices at auctions. So, how much is a 1972 Lincoln penny actually worth? As I mentioned earlier, most 1972 pennies are worth just 1 cent. However, the rare varieties like the 1972 double die obverse penny can be worth significantly more. A typical 1972 DDO penny in good condition can sell for several $1,000s, with well-preserved examples fetching even higher prices. If you happen to find a 1972 DDO penny in pristine condition, it could be worth up to $1.4 million. The demand for these rare errors, combined with their scarcity, has made the 1972 DDO penny one of the most valuable and highly coveted coins in the world. Additionally, the 1972 no mint mark penny can be worth a few hundred to a few $1,000s, depending on its condition and rarity of this specific variety. In conclusion, the 1972 Lincoln penny is far more valuable than most people realize. While most of these pennies are worth just 1 cent, the rare 1972 double die obverse penny is a coin that can be worth a staggering $1.4 million in excellent condition. Other varieties, like the 1972 no mint mark penny, are also highly collectible and can fetch a significant amount of money as well. If you happen to come across a 1972 penny, be sure to take a close look at it. If you spot any doubling on the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust, you might be holding a small fortune in your hands. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos about coin collecting, valuable finds, and rare treasures from history. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled for those rare pennies, and happy collecting. See you in the next video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're a coin enthusiast or just curious about rare finds, you're in for a treat today. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the 1993 Lincoln penny. Yes, the 1 cent coin you probably see all the time could actually be worth up to $1.2 million. Stick around, because I'm going to explain its history, what makes some 1993 pennies so valuable, and how you could be holding a small fortune in your hand without even realizing it. Let's start with a little background on the Lincoln penny itself. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln on the 100th anniversary of his birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the image of Lincoln quickly became iconic. The original design featured a wheat stalk on the reverse side of the coin, which remained in place until 1958. Since then, the reverse has undergone several changes, but the portrait of Lincoln himself has remained largely unchanged for over a century. Over the years, the penny has undergone various modifications in terms of the metal used and other design elements, but it's always been a staple in U.S. coinage. The 1993 penny, like most of the pennies in the 1990s, was made of copper-plated zinc. But what makes the 1993 penny so special? Let's dive into that now. So, why is the 1993 penny worth so much money? Most of the 1993 pennies you'll come across are worth exactly 1 cent, just like any other regular penny. But just like with other years, there are some rare varieties that can fetch a significant amount of money, as sometimes even up to $1.2 million. It's all about certain rare errors that make these pennies special. Let's talk about these errors and what sets the valuable 1993 pennies apart from the rest. One of the most valuable varieties of the 1993 Lincoln penny is the double die obverse, or DDO penny. So, what is a doubled die? A double die happens when a coin is struck more than once during the minting process, causing certain elements of the design to appear doubled or offset. In the case of the 1993 DDO penny, you'll notice that parts of the design, specifically the lettering and sometimes even Lincoln's imagia, are slightly doubled, which is a clear indication that it's a rare minting error. These types of errors aren't common, and collectors are always on the lookout for them. A 1993 DDO penny in good condition can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. In some exceptional cases, these coins can sell for over $10,000. But the truly rare and valuable 1993 DDO pennies can go for much more. In fact, the right 1993 DDO penny, in mint condition, has been known to fetch as much as $1.2 million at auction. That's right, $1.2 million for a single penny. That's the kind of rarity and value we're talking about here. Another valuable variety to look for is the 1993 penny with a wide AM reverse. Most modern pennies have the A and M in America closely spaced together on the reverse side of the coin. However, during the 1990s, a small number of pennies were mistakenly minted with a wide AM reverse, where the A and M are farther apart than usual. This spacing error is incredibly rare, and it's something collectors actively search for. If you come across a 1993 penny with this wide AM reverse, it could be worth significantly more than its face value. In some cases, a 1993 wide AM penny can be worth thousands of dollars, depending on its condition. If it's in excellent shape, you may be looking at a coin that could fetch tens of thousands or more in the right market. Now, you're probably wondering, how can I tell if I've got a valuable 1993 penny? Well, it all comes down to being able to spot the rare varieties we just discussed. For the 1993 double die obverse penny, check carefully for signs of doubling on the obverse side of the coin, particularly around the lettering and Lincoln's profile. If you see a slight double image in those areas, you could be holding a valuable coin. The more obvious the doubling, the more valuable it is. For the 1993 wide AM penny, you'll want to examine the reverse side closely. Look specifically at the space between the A and M in America. If there's a noticeable gap between the letters, then you're looking at the rare wide AM variety. Keep in mind that the condition of the coin is also incredibly important. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A coin that has been well preserved, with minimal wear or damage, will command a much higher price than one that's scratched, dented, or worn down. So, how much is a 1993 Lincoln penny actually worth? As mentioned earlier, the vast majority of those coins are worth just 1 cent. However, when it comes to the rarer varieties, the value can soar. A 1993 DDO penny can sell for anywhere from a few $100s to over $10,000, depending on its condition. But in the rarest of cases, especially if it's in near-perfect condition, you could see one sell for as much as $1.2 million. The 1993 wide AM penny also has significant value, especially if it's in great shape. These can go for anywhere between $50 to $5,000, depending on the condition and demand from collectors. To wrap up, while most 1993 pennies are worth just 1 cent, there are a select few varieties that are worth a lot more, sometimes up to $1.2 million. The 1993 double die obverse and the 1993 wide AM reverse are the most sought-after varieties, and they are highly prized by collectors. If you come across a 1993 penny, Make sure to take a close look at it and check for these rare features. If you find a rare 1993 penny, it could be your ticket to a small fortune. Keep your eyes peeled, and who knows, you might just be holding a coin worth a lot more than you think. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more coin collecting tips, valuable finds, and historical deep dives. Until next time, happy hunting, and keep those rare coins in check. See you in the next video.